do. Third idea, and we'll hit this real quick. The third idea is something we call in our organization, empty your cup. Here's what I mean by that. I don't have everything it would take to fill your cup in terms of your leadership ability, what you need to know, your skill set. There's not enough in me to fill your cup. But my responsibility isn't to fill anybody's cup, we say in our organization. We say in our organization, our responsibility is to empty our cup. Our responsibility is to find ways to pour into the people around us what we do know, not because it's all there is to know, but because it's all we know. It's all I know. So we look for opportunities, and we use this terminology all the time. What can I do to fill their cup? Now, I'm not gonna tell them everything they need to know. They're already smarter than me. They read more than me. They're better educated than me. But I wanna make sure while they're working with me, while we're working together, at some point, I have an opportunity to empty my cup so that when they go on to whatever they do or whatever they continue to do in this organization, they will have the advantage of knowing everything I know about what I've asked them to do. One of the most empowering things you can do as a Beyond You leader is to look for opportunities to empty your cup. Now here's the thing. Well, I learned this the hard way by encouraging our younger staff to do this. You are smarter than you think. You know more than you think you know. You are not as behind as you may feel like you are behind. You have something to offer. And sometimes it's as simple as sending an email out with an article you read and say, hey, I just read this article, thought you might enjoy reading this. I'm just giving you, I'm passing on to you something that's helped me. Here's a book I've read. Every once in a while, I'll get 3 or 4 or 5 of our middle management kind of people who don't report to me, people who never spend time with me, but people who I think are really sharp leaders, men and women who I think, gosh, so glad they're in this organization. I wanna make sure they know what I know about something. And I'll say, hey, I want us to spend a few weeks together and go through a book together. Hey, I want us to meet for breakfast for 3 or 4 or 5 Thursday mornings or every other Thursday morning, and I want you guys to come up with 3 questions and just we'll meet. There's no agenda. You set the questions, I'll answer the questions, I buy breakfast. It's just, in a way, it's just an opportunity to make sure I'm not gonna fill their cup. It's not even my responsibility. I'm looking for a way to empty mine. The guy that did this for me years ago is a guy named Charlie Renfro. Charlie had an outdoor business, very successful guy. He just saw something in me in my late 20s and said, Andy, let's have breakfast. And so that began an every other Tuesday morning breakfast that went on for years. And I'll tell you what, Charlie would walk in, he'd be in a suit, he'd have cufflinks, he was all decked out, he was very successful in his cool BMW that, back when, there weren't even that many in the city of Atlanta, didn't seem like, he just had it all going on. He'd walk into the original House of Pancakes, and I was working for my dad, really didn't know what I was gonna do with my life, and Charlie would sit down, and he'd come in and say hello to everybody in the restaurant. I'd get there early because I got my questions, and he'd sit down and he'd smack this big old gold ring on the table, and he'd say, Andy, what you working on big? What you working on big? I'm like, nothing. I know, nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, like big in my world is I took 40 kids to Six Flags and I got them all home safely. Is that big? He's on his way to New York to do battle with the bankers because his company's upside down and he's talking about things I don't even understand. What you working on big, Andy? Come on, what you working on big? I'm like, nothing. But week after week after week, Charlie sits down and asks me that question. It finally dawned on me. Charlie thinks I can work on big stuff. Charlie thinks in my life, it's the kind of life that may one day have responsibility for the big stuff. And Charlie's still a dear friend of mine after 25, 26 years. And every once in a while, when we're doing something big, we're raising a bunch of money or giving away millions of dollars for stuff or building a new building, I'll get a text from Charlie. And he'll say, now that's big. Now I'm telling you, 26 years later, I'm still talking about Charlie Renfro because he saw in me the potential as the next generation leader. And he decided, I've got a little bit of time for that one guy. No agenda, I'm just gonna walk in and you ask me the questions. He taught me the principle of the 500-pound gorilla. 500-pound gorilla principle is when there's conflict and when there's issues and there's people you wanna avoid, you walk up to the cage, you open the cage and you invite the 500-pound gorilla into the room. And there were times I was trying to avoid conflict and avoid people and this is difficult. He'd say, whoa. That's a 500-pound gorilla. Andy, you go down there, you open that cage and you invite it into the room. Don't you run from that. 26 years later, I'm still talking about that. Still something every once in a while I look at my wrist and it says, what would Charlie do? That's, my wristband is WWCD. What would Charlie do? I mean, Jesus too, but Charlie, Charlie, he told me what to do. Now my point is this, you can do that for somebody. You can do that for somebody. I know what your objection is, well, Andy, when I'm the boss, I'll start doing this when I'm the boss. As soon as I'm the boss, I'll start doing this, okay? Let me just tell you why this isn't true. If you don't start it now, you won't do it then. Because once you are the boss, you will think you became the boss by hoarding and not helping. You'll think you became the boss because it was all about you, not beyond you. But if you start now becoming a beyond you leader, if you commit now to becoming a beyond you leader, if you just take some baby steps, if you start thinking outside the box, if you find those 1 or 2 people that have extraordinary potential in your organization and you begin to invest in them, you will have something to show for your leadership just beyond the things that you accumulated. You are going to accumulate the rewards of your success just because you're leaders. I mean, that's gonna happen. The question is, who are you bringing along with you? The question is, who's coming along behind you? The question is, who are you around almost every single day? And a little bit of leverage, a little bit of empowerment would go a long, long way. I'll just close with this. If your leadership isn't all about you, it will live beyond you. If your leadership isn't all about you, it will live beyond you. Now listen, but if your leadership is all about you, it will not live beyond you, other than the fact that you will serve as someone's bad example. And there's not a person in this room, there's not a person listening or watching that wants this. You have the potential to be a beyond you leader. And the time to begin exercising your beyond you muscles is right now, where you are, with the influence you have, where you are currently employed, the industry you're currently working in, the job that you currently have.